In this world of noise and attention seeking, the real power lies in quiet execution. They don't need to know your next move, just let them feel its impact. While others are busy posting, you're busy building. Work in silence, not for secrecy but for strength. Let your results make the loudest noise. In a world that thrives on constant noise, validation and confrontation, there is an unshakable power in choosing peace over proving. Every day you are given opportunities to react, to explain yourself, to prove your worth, your truth, your side of the story. But often those opportunities are not invitations for understanding. They are traps. Traps set by people who have already made up their minds. People who are not listening to understand you, but to judge, to twist, to invalidate. And that is where your choice becomes everything. The choice to protect your peace instead of participating in battles that drain your spirit. It is a sign of emotional maturity to not engage every time you are challenged. You do not owe everyone a response. Silence, contrary to what the world believes, is not weakness. It is restraint. It is strength wrapped in self-respect. When someone is committed to misunderstanding you, no explanation will ever be enough. Their perception is already filtered through bias, insecurity, or ego. So why exhaust yourself trying to fix what they have no intention of seeing clearly? There comes a time in your journey when you understand that peace is not the absence of noise, but the refusal to let noise enter your spirit. You stop giving energy to arguments that only exist to trigger you. You stop replying to passive-aggressive comments meant to shake your sense of self. You stop chasing closure from people who are emotionally incapable of giving it. And you stop trying to explain your path to people who were never meant to walk it with you. You must realize your life is not a courtroom. You are not required to present evidence for every decision, every boundary, or every dream you pursue. You are allowed to move in silence, to grow in privacy, to heal without public approval. Not every action needs a justification. Not every no requires an explanation. Not every change needs a press release. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. When you prioritize peace over proving, you reclaim your power. You take back your energy from people who were never worthy of it. You create space for clarity, focus, and healing. You stop living to impress and start living to progress. And that shift, quiet, subtle, but profound, can change everything. Choosing peace doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself not to be dragged into emotional chaos. It means you trust yourself enough to not need external confirmation. It means you value your time, your growth, and your future more than you value temporary victories in meaningless debates. Peace is not passive, it is intentional. It is not avoidance, it is alignment. It is not silence for the sake of silence. It is silence for the sake of sanity. Let them misjudge you. Let them whisper. Let them create their versions of your truth. What they think is not your business. And it's certainly not your burden. You have nothing to prove to people whose minds are made up, whose hearts are closed, and whose intentions are rooted in misunderstanding. Your peace is not up for negotiation. Walk away when it's time. Be silent when it's right. Choose inner calm over outer noise. In doing so, you don't just protect your energy. You elevate your entire existence. You remind yourself that you are not here to win arguments. You are here to live in alignment with your higher self. And that, above all else, is the ultimate proof of power. Emotional detachment is not about shutting down or becoming cold-hearted. It's about learning to master your emotional responses so that you are no longer at the mercy of other people's actions, moods, or approval. Detachment is not the absence of feeling. It's the ability to feel everything and yet remain grounded. When you are emotionally detached, you stop handing over the power of your peace to external chaos. You stop allowing other people's drama to shake your stability. You observe without absorbing. You care without clinging. And you help without drowning. This type of detachment isn't built overnight. It's cultivated through awareness, discipline, and boundaries. You start recognizing that not everything needs a reaction. Not every argument needs your energy. Not every attack requires a defense. Detachment is the subtle power of choosing your emotional state regardless of the storm around you. It's when you stop reacting and start responding calmly, consciously, and with clarity. Detachment is especially vital when dealing with people who thrive on control, manipulation, or guilt. If you are deeply entangled emotionally, their actions can constantly trigger you. But with detachment, you become immune to their attempts to provoke or destabilize you. You begin to protect your energy like a sacred flame. You understand that caring for others doesn't mean carrying their emotional burdens. You're not obligated to bleed for everyone you love. True emotional maturity comes when you know how to stay close to people without losing yourself in them. Many people confuse detachment with indifference, but indifference is rooted in avoidance. Detachment is rooted in strength. You can love someone and still set a boundary. You can show compassion without sacrificing your inner peace. You can walk away from dysfunction not because you don't care, but because you care about your own mental and emotional well-being too. Detachment allows you to see situations for what they are, not what you wish them to be. You stop romanticizing red flags and start facing the truth with open eyes. The more you practice detachment, the more you realize how much of your suffering was optional. You suffered because you got too attached to outcomes, to people's opinions, to being liked, to controlling things that were never in your hands. But once you let go of this tight grip, life flows better. You become more present, more patient, more powerful. You start enjoying your peace rather than chasing approval. Detachment doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you love yourself enough to walk away when love becomes toxic. It means you give people the freedom to be who they are, while also giving yourself the freedom to choose what you allow into your life. You stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop chasing closure from those who were never honest to begin with. You stop begging for support from those who never showed up. The real power of emotional detachment is that it teaches you how to stay soft without being shattered. You become unshakable not because you're hard, but because you've mastered your center. Your emotions no longer dictate your day. People's behavior no longer ruins your mood. You rise above the noise, not by fighting it, but by outgrowing it. In a world where everything is designed to trigger a reaction, detachment is a form of rebellion. It's choosing peace in a chaotic world. It's deciding that your mental clarity is more important than temporary validation. When you detach, you don't withdraw from life. You engage with it more mindfully. You begin to live on your terms, and that, above all, is true power. Stop carrying what isn't yours. Let that truth settle into your soul. You are not the savior of every broken heart, every shattered story, or every person who refuses to face their own reflection. There comes a point where you must realize that constantly trying to fix others can slowly start to break you. You can love people deeply, offer them wisdom, compassion, and presence, but you cannot carry their healing on your back as if it were your burden. That weight will crush you if you let it. There is a difference between being supportive and becoming someone else's emotional dumping ground. It's not your job to absorb their darkness just because you know how to hold light. You have to understand some people aren't looking for healing. They're looking for someone to lean on so they don't have to grow. And if you're not careful, you'll become so wrapped up in saving them that you lose yourself in the process. You must protect your peace, even if it means loving people from a distance. There is no cruelty in boundaries, only clarity. It doesn't make you heartless to say, I can't keep doing this. It makes you honest, emotionally responsible, grounded. Because if someone's chaos constantly disturbs your soul, that is not love, that is self-sacrifice in disguise. And self-sacrifice without boundaries becomes self-neglect. Your journey is sacred. You have your own lessons to learn, your own healing to do, your own life to build. If you're always caught in the web of other people's emotions, you'll never have time to feel your own. You'll be so busy managing their storms that you'll ignore the quiet rain inside your own spirit. And eventually, you'll drown in what wasn't even yours to carry. Let go of the need to be the fixer. Let go of the guilt that creeps in when you finally choose yourself. Healing is a personal journey, and sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and let people face themselves. Let them feel the consequences of their own choices. Let them learn to swim instead of expecting you to carry them across every ocean. You are allowed to walk away from dysfunction without explaining yourself. You are allowed to protect your energy without feeling guilty. You are allowed to be kind and firm at the same time. Detaching from other people's burdens is not abandonment, it's wisdom, it's maturity, it's self-love in action. And understand this, the people who truly respect you won't ask you to sacrifice your peace for their comfort. They'll grow with you. They'll take responsibility. They'll do their own inner work. You won't have to beg them to change or pull them toward healing. They'll meet you on the path, walking beside you, not dragging behind, asking you to carry them. Your peace matters. Your mental clarity matters. Your emotional stability matters. Stop carrying what isn't yours, and you'll realize how much lighter life can feel. Let go of the roles you were never meant to play. Let go of the weight that was never yours. And most of all, let go of the belief that love means losing yourself. Real love, healthy, grounded, evolving love, will never ask you to break just to hold someone else together. So release it. Release the guilt. Release the pressure. Release the expectation that you are the solution to everyone's pain. You're not. And that doesn't make you less loving. It makes you finally free. Respond, don't react. That's where true power lies. Not in the heat of emotion, but in the stillness of wisdom. Most people move through life constantly reacting to the world around them. Someone says something offensive and they lash out. Something doesn't go as planned and they explode. But living in a reactive state means surrendering your peace to whatever or whoever pulls your emotional strings. When you respond instead of react, you reclaim that power. You step out of the storm and become the calm in it. Reaction is immediate. It's impulsive, driven by ego and emotion. It's the part of you that wants to prove a point, win an argument, or defend your pride. But response is intentional. It takes a breath, observes, and chooses the higher road. It's not about being passive, it's about being wise. When you respond, you don't let someone else dictate your emotional state. You stay grounded, aware, and in control of your energy. It's easy to react. It feels justified in the moment. But what feels good for 5 seconds often causes damage for days, weeks, or years. Words spoken in anger can't be unsaid. Actions made in rage can't always be reversed. That's why discipline is required. The ability to pause before you speak, to think before you move, is the difference between living with regret and living with integrity. The pause is your power. The breath before the reply is where you decide who's really in control, you or your emotions. Emotional maturity isn't about never feeling upset, triggered, or overwhelmed. It's about knowing how to sit with those emotions without becoming them. It's being able to hold space for discomfort without letting it control your actions. That's strength, and sometimes the best response is no response. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every comment needs a clapback. Your peace is more valuable than your pride. People will project, provoke, and poke just to pull you out of character. Don't give them that satisfaction. Protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. Not everyone deserves access to your full emotional presence. Some people are only meant to witness your silence. Responding doesn't mean being a doormat either. It means speaking with clarity, not chaos. It means setting boundaries without needing to raise your voice. It means confronting truth without needing to tear someone down. You can be firm and kind. You can be strong and soft. And most of all, you can be deeply powerful without ever having to prove it. Mastering your response means mastering your life. Because once you're no longer ruled by emotions, you become unshakable. The world might still try to push your buttons, but you've stopped giving people the remote. You move with intention, you choose your battles, you protect your peace at all costs. And in doing so, you create a life that feels steady, purposeful, and aligned. The next time you're tempted to react, pause, breathe, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, let it pass. If it's yes, respond with wisdom, speak with clarity, move with grace. That's where your true power lives, not in shouting, not in snapping, not in proving, but in pausing long enough to choose how you show up. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Not everyone has earned the right to your vulnerability, your time, or your energy. Yet too often, we find ourselves over-explaining our worth to people who never truly valued it in the first place. We shrink our boundaries to avoid confrontation. We soften our no to avoid disappointing others. And slowly, without realizing it, we begin to live according to the comfort zones of others instead of the truth of who we are. But here's the truth: your energy is sacred. Your peace is your responsibility, and your boundaries, they are not up for debate. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always resist when you finally draw the line. They'll call you selfish, distant, or even cold. But remember, the loudest protests often come from those who are most entitled to your silence. The ones who never respected your limits are the first to criticize your strength when you finally enforce them. That's not your burden to carry. It's a reflection of them, not you. You don't owe access to those who drain you. You don't owe explanations to people who weaponize your words. You don't have to justify your healing, your solitude, or your standards. The people who truly care for you will never make you feel guilty for protecting your peace. They will honor your space, respect your boundaries, and celebrate your growth. Everyone else, let them go. It's not your job to be constantly available. You're not required to answer every message, attend every event, or tolerate disrespect in the name of keeping the peace. Real peace isn't built on self-betrayal. It's built on authenticity. And authentic living means learning to say no without guilt, walking away without explanation, and standing firm without apology. Because when you stop over-giving, you start thriving. Give yourself permission to be unavailable. Not in a cruel or dismissive way, but in a protective and loving way. Your energy is not an unlimited resource. It needs rest, restoration, and intentional distribution. Pour into those who pour back. Invest in those who make deposits, not just withdrawals. And most importantly, make space for your own presence, your own passions, and your own inner stillness. Understand this clearly. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are bridges to protect what's within. They are the ultimate act of self-respect. They teach others how to treat you and set the tone for every relationship in your life. And if someone refuses to honor them, they're showing you exactly who they are. Believe them. Let go of the need to over-explain. You don't need to argue for your worth. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You just need to be true to yourself. The right people won't require an explanation. They will simply align. So, Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Your mental clarity, your emotional stability, your spiritual strength, they are all connected to who you allow into your space. Choose wisely, preserve your peace, and stop granting access to those who haven't earned it. Because not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone should be handed the map to your heart, and not everyone deserves to witness your light, especially those who tried to dim it. Start living for you. For far too long you've shaped your life around expectations, obligations, and invisible contracts you never agreed to. You've bent so others wouldn't break, shrunk so others could shine, and stayed silent so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. But somewhere in that process you abandoned yourself, and now your spirit is tired. Your soul is quietly begging for a new beginning, one that centers on you. Protecting your energy isn't an act of rebellion, it's an act of remembrance. It's the moment you finally remember that your needs matter too. That your peace, your voice, your dreams are not optional, they are vital. And every time you say yes to things that drain you, you say no to the things that would grow you. Self-betrayal isn't sustainable. The body keeps score. The heart records every moment you abandon what feels true to you just to keep the peace around you. This isn't about becoming selfish. This is about becoming self-aware. There is a difference between being available and being used. There is a difference between being kind and being a doormat. There is a difference between love and self-sacrifice. And when you truly start living for you, you begin to see that the world doesn't collapse when you set boundaries. It starts to reveal who respects you, and who only respects what they can take from you. Healing isn't a grand moment, it's found in the quiet choices. It's the text you don't send. It's the conversation you no longer chase. It's the boundary you finally hold without guilt. It's the peace you choose over proving your point. Every time you choose yourself, even in the smallest way, you rewrite the narrative. You say, I matter, I deserve, I'm worthy. Growth isn't loud. It doesn't need applause or validation. It's subtle and sacred. It's the strength to walk away from what no longer aligns. It's the maturity to let go of what once felt familiar, but now feels heavy. It's the courage to start again, not because you failed, but because you refuse to settle for anything less than what honors your truth. When you live for you, your standards rise. Not because you think you're better, but because you finally understand your value. You stop chasing validation, because you realize people who genuinely care won't need to be convinced. You stop explaining your worth to those committed to misunderstanding you. And you stop dimming your light just to keep others comfortable in their shadows. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, think differently. Because now, your decisions are rooted in self-respect, not desperation. You become more selective with your time, your energy, your circle. You recognize that peace isn't a luxury, it's a requirement. And anyone who threatens it no longer gets access to it. Start living for you. Wake up every day and choose yourself. Not from a place of ego, but from a place of alignment. Stop performing, stop proving, stop people-pleasing. Your life is not a stage, it's your sanctuary. Treat it as such. Build it intentionally. Decorate it with boundaries, light it with joy, and protect it with love. You don't owe anyone your exhaustion. You don't have to explain your healing. You are allowed to grow quietly, unapologetically, and authentically. And in doing so, you give others permission to do the same. So start today. Live for you. Heal for you. Rise for you. Not because they finally see your worth, but because you finally do. When you start living for you, everything shifts. You stop chasing people who never saw your worth. You stop pouring your soul into places that only drained you. You begin to value your time, your peace, your energy. And that is the ultimate form of self-respect. Healing is not a destination, it's a daily decision to stop betraying yourself for the comfort of others. Growth is uncomfortable, but staying stuck is painful. You were never meant to shrink to fit into spaces that couldn't hold your power. You were meant to rise, to thrive, to glow unapologetically. So protect your energy, set the boundaries, walk away from what no longer aligns with your truth, and most importantly, live for you. Because in choosing yourself, you give others the permission to do the same. And that ripple of authenticity, of peace, of purpose, is what truly transforms the world.